Since the first screening in 2011, Game of Thrones have been the most successful TV series in history, racking up 20 million viewers for each episode's aired with a production budget of $100 million per season, and have earned a total of 38 Emmy Awards. But that is not only it. In this video, we are going to dive in and dig deep on how Game of Thrones impacted the city of Dubrovnik in terms of its tourism, based on how tourists behave that impact the iconic city, or else called the King's Landing.
Assalamualaikum and hello there. Hope you're having a good day. I am Izzat Johar, and before we move right into the content, this video consists of several chapters, which is first the introduction to Game of Thrones. After that, we move on to the city of Dubrovnik and its tourism, and then we explore the requisites or the iconic scenes seen in the TV series. And after that, we move on to the tourist behavior in visiting the city of Dubrovnik, and lastly, we analyze the impact that could be seen in the city of Dubrovnik based on how people travel here, the mass tourism, and so forth. And then we provide recommendation for these issues, and hopefully it could minimize the impact found. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy.
Enemies to the east. Enemies to the west. Enemies to the south. Enemies to the north. Whatever stands in our way, we will defeat it.
The original series was based on George R.R. Martin's best-selling series of fantasy novels. It is called The Song of Ice and Fire, which portrays chronicles of violent dynastic struggle among noble families for the Iron Throne. While more threats emerge from the north of the continent and also from the distant eastern lands, the filming of the series actually took part in several locations in the real world, such as the Northern Ireland, Malta, Iceland, and Spain. However, the most prominent scenes are actually filmed in Dubrovnik, Croatia. In 2011, during season 1 of the series, HBO producers moved some of the filming locations from Malta to Croatia, including those relating to the King's Landing scene, the most crucial place in the series known for its Iron Throne. The majority of the filming took place in the old town of Dubrovnik and at a nearby tourist attraction. Croatian DMO instantly recognized the economic benefits of a form of tourism, driven by the desire for an authentic experience of on-screen location sites in Dubrovnik and its surroundings. In both online and offline destination marketing activities, they strongly emphasized the city of Dubrovnik as a synonym for the King's Landing. As a result, Dubrovnik became the pilgrimage destination for the fans of Game of Thrones. One tourism product that has gained popularity among visitors to Dubrovnik is dedicated to walking tours of the city, its famous city walls and cruise tourism. These tours were initiated in the midst of 1970s after the reconstruction of inaccessible walls. During the armed conflict in 1990s, the city and its walls reportedly suffered the most devastating destruction since the 13th century. But after restoration, the tours commenced again. Today, small tourism businesses provide most of the tours in the city, mainly focusing on local history and the popular TV series Game of Thrones. Hence, the tours are largely organized according to scripts that meet tourists' preferences for walking through the site and experiencing various gazes. The most important local heritage sites are sold under the main Discovery Tour. The history of politics and the challenges relating to the city's fortification are sold as the War Tour. While the film Induced Experience Tour bear direct references to the Game of Thrones. In the case of the last two, walks are being sold with an expectation that visitors are less attracted to the historical depth of the physical site than to its staged narrative. In response to the discovery that some tourists are indecisive in their preferences over the mediated or historical gaze of the city of Dubrovnik, there are also tours which addresses both. The so-called two-in-one tours combine experience across heritage, history of wars, and popular culture. These packages require well-trained professional guides with the ability to interpret, translate, and differentiate fact and fiction clearly. Representatives of Dubrovnik Walks and Dubrovnik Walking Tours stated that guides for such tours are equipped with high-level professional knowledge about the history of the place, but also share the utmost enthusiasm for the Game of Thrones. In order to draw a clear line between factual tours and fictional tours, the Game of Thrones themed tours are delivered by guides that are real fans of the series themselves, while some guides for Discovery and War tours voluntarily exclude themselves from any relationship with the popular culture phenomenon. Discovery guides tend to position themselves as strongly committed to the historical narrative of the place, thus contributing to high levels of consistency between tours. Other guides may be less engaged with the cultural of Game of Thrones storytelling. In this case, the tour's management personnel encourage guides to deliver a one-of-a-kind tourist gaze by telling their personal involvement with the TV series or giving first-hand accounts of living in a besieged town. These personal guides' stories represent a social setting that is highly context-dependent and inseparable from the physical setting within which it occurred. This kind of engagement increases the extraordinariness of the place, with tourists having unique opportunities to meet those who contributed to the fictional or real heritage of the city. So the first scene here we have the Dubrovnik Harbour or King's Landing Harbour, where characters in the series meet and took their farewell. One of the protagonists, Sansa and Lord Baelish, first meet at the harbour, and the second scene here we could see Jon Snow's last farewell with their siblings, which is actually one of the most saddest scenes in the series. Next we move on to Fort Lovrenyak, or in Game of Thrones it is called the Red Keep. This scene here shows the antagonist, King Joffrey, in his name day, conducted a duel between warriors in the King's Landing. This scene is actually iconic because of its how violent and gore this king actually is. And next here we have the Jesuit Street, or in the Game of Thrones it is called the Sept of Baelor. This place hosted one of the most iconic scenes in Game of Thrones. The scene is called the Walk of Shame. And next we have the Pile Gate, or which is called the King's Landing Gate in the TV series. Next we have the Cleese Fortress in Split. This scene is actually made for another country called Marine, which is located in the eastern lands of Westeros. This scene is when the Daenerys fleet freed the slaves from its masters, further solidifies the status of Daenerys in the series as the main protagonist. So that's all for the scenes that could be found in the city of Dubrovnik. It is understandable in terms of why tourists actually pick this city instead of other countries such as Northern Ireland, Iceland, and even Spain. This is because the city of Dubrovnik actually hosted most scenes for the series itself. Now moving on to the important part, the tourist behavior in visiting the city. First off, it is important that we know what is tourist behavior. Blackwell and Minyard in 2001 explained that tourist behavior is those activities that directly involve in obtaining, consuming, and disposing of products and services, including the decision processes that precedes and follows these actions. Now, reading from the statement, it is easily understood that the visitors that came to Dubrovnik are motivated by two factors. First, the TV series, and secondly, the views and vistas that are available in the iconic city. It is also known that this type of tourists that visited the city is mass tourists, which is basically the fans of the TV series itself. Most of the time, tourists only spend their time at the city, sightseeing, and a little bit of kayaking. The marketing of the city itself is currently centered around the TV series. One of the tour operator managers said that for the Game of Thrones fans out there, it all comes and live in Dubrovnik. You will walk the same path, touch the same walls, and soak up the views you see on the show, said Ed Jones in 2015. Now, Crompton push and pull model can be used in relating the motivation of visitors in visiting the city of Dubrovnik. Fans of the TV series will be pulled by the scenic beauty that was shown on the TV, and will want to push themselves in discovering and gaining the excitement of exploring the city of Dubrovnik. In short, the city of Dubrovnik are excelling in their economy, as tourist arrivals are not slowing down, as fans of the Game of Thrones just keep on flowing and flooding the city. But is it safe to say that all is well in the historic UNESCO World Heritage Site? Let's move on to the last part of this video to find out. Adding to the Dubrovnik's tourism popularity are also its inscription to the UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites since the year 1979, and numerous successful films and TV shows for which the town was used as a filming location. However, being classified as a UNESCO Heritage Site and being associated with numerous successful films has its perks and perils. On the one hand side, since the late 2000s and especially in 2011, Dubrovnik has boasted an increasing number of tourist visits, excluding cruise visitors. In 2015 itself, there were almost 1.5 million tourist arrivals, while almost 1 million admission tickets were sold for the city walls. This record tourist numbers are attributed to the HBO mega hit TV series Game of Thrones, suggesting that Game of Thrones film tourism resulted in a 38% increase in tourist arrival, a 29% increase in overnight stays, and a 37% increase in city walls admission tickets, compared to a mere 7% increase in tourist arrival, a 8% increase in an overnight stays, and a 2% increase in city walls admission in the pre-Game of Thrones period. On the other hand, these record numbers create challenges for visitor management. Firstly, most visits take place in the summer month, from June to September. Secondly, most visited attractions are the Old Town, the city walls, and numerous fortresses that are all concentrated in a small place. This creates crowding, congestion, and increased dissatisfactions, which means there are currently an over-tourism that are happening inside the Old Town of the city of Dubrovnik. So now that the impact have been known, there are ways in minimizing it. But it is also important to note that the Municipal Council of Dubrovnik have made their own action as well, such as increasing the admission tickets. So that is a no-go. The only thing that is left to be made is to actually control visitor movement before and after entering the Old Town, such as stimulating new itineraries outside the city walls, using rural areas to conduct activities relating to Game of Thrones that would delay tourist movement inside the city, hence optimizing tourist movement inside the Old Town. So that is all for this video. To conclude, film-induced tourism is a great way in increasing economy of a place, but there must also be some planning that are made before executing it inside a place so that the impacts could be controlled. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum and have a good day.